Kicking off our list is Hilary Duff. She became a teen icon when she took on the role of Lizzie McGuire, but sadly all good things cannot last forever. Preteens were devastated all over the world when the series came to an end, but were thrilled when they announced the Lizzie McGuire movie. Everyone was hoping there'd be a sequel, but apparently the reason it didn't happen was because of a money dispute. According to Entertainment Weekly, the sequel was cancelled when Hilary's mom, Susan Duff, wouldn't accept Disney's deal for it. It was reported that she was offered a $500,000 bonus for the sequel if the first one reached $50 million, but the momager wanted to receive the bonus immediately rather than waiting. She spoke on it and said, "Disney thought they'd be able to bully us into accepting whatever offer they wanted to make, and they couldn't. We walked away from a sequel, they walked away from the franchise." Boom. Next up in spot number 9 is Steve Whitmire, also known as Kermit the Frog. The voice actor and puppeteer was fired from Disney for a few different reasons, but it's been reported that money was part of it. One of the reasons was because he refused to work on a particular project because of a contract dispute involving him wanting more money. According to THR, Disney and the Muppet Studio said his way of negotiation delayed productions and said that they had issues with him for many years. Turns out issues with him demanding more money goes back to the early days when he was actually on Sesame Street, where he voiced Ernie and Kermit for years. Side note, I had no idea that it was one actor playing both parts. Just saying, you learned something new today. A source spoke on it and said, "People think he left Sesame Street to focus on the Muppets. He was actually fired for demanding too much money." Well, you know what they say, it's not easy being green. Get it? Stealing the number 8 spot is J-Lo. We've seen her star in a variety of movies, but people loved seeing her as a judge on American Idol in season 10. But in July 2012, she announced to Ryan Seacrest that she decided not to return for the next season so that she could focus on her music career and 2 children. But then articles started surfacing revealing that she was actually let go by Fox because she was asking for a $2 million raise in her salary. That would have brought her up to $17 million. But regardless of the reason, her story did have a happy ending because a year later, the producers decided to give her the raise and more and welcomed her back on for $17.5 million per season until she left in 2016. Talk about the deal. Yes, they said no, and then they brought you back with more than you asked for. Moving on to number 7, we have Chad Michael Murray. He broke out into the spotlight after booking a lead role on the hit TV series One Tree Hill. The show lasted 9 seasons, but Chad's time ended after the 6th. News broke that he would not be returning for the 7th season, and fans had no idea why, nor were we happy about it. Turns out that money was the driving factor, and since everyone's salary was going up the following season, he kind of expected the same. But instead, the network didn't want to give him a raise or any pay at all. He told some of his fans that they fired him to save their studio some money. Video footage leaked of him taking pictures with some fans in North Carolina back in 2009, and a fan asked why he isn't going to be on the show. In the video, he says, "They don't want me. I'm not joking, they're not bringing me back because they want to save money." At number 6 is Lauren Cohen, also known as Maggie from the TV series The Walking Dead. She was a staple character on the show, which is why it shocked fans back in 2018 when they learned that she was in a salary standoff against the network. AMC had to decide if they were going to axe her character or accept her salary negotiations. But her co-star, Kahari Payton, came to her defense and posted a picture of her to his Twitter with the caption that said, "Pay the woman." Maggie said that maybe it was a sign for her to leave since things just weren't lining up in many ways, even outside of the salary raise. Ultimately, they actually let her go, but she was getting offers elsewhere for new roles, so it all worked out in the end. Halfway through at number 5 is Crispin Glover. He's famously known for his role as George McFly in the iconic movie Back to the Future. And if you're a fan, then you've probably wondered why he never returned for the sequels. There's been a few different speculations as to why, and one of them is money. Turns out he had asked for more money. He spoke on it and said, "People say I asked for the same amount of money as Michael J. Fox, which is a total fabrication. I wanted to be in the movie, but the offer was less than half of what Leah Thompson and Tom Wilson, who had similar sized roles. It just wasn't fair." He only got really mad with the studio because they used him in the sequel without his consent. They actually took old prosthetic molds that they had on his face in the first movie and put a new actor into them and then intersected old footage somehow. Good news is he won the lawsuit for it. So we did get some money from them. Here now at number 4 we have Suzanne Summers. This one goes further back to the 5th season of Three's Company in 1980. It was one of the most popular shows on television at the time, and the actress and her co-star, John Ritter, earned Golden Globe nominations for it. But Suzanne was not happy and asked the ABC executives for a raise. She was making $30,000 an episode at the time, and they offered her an extra $5,000 per episode. But she wanted much more than that. She had a different number in mind. She actually demanded $150,000 an episode. The studio denied her request and basically laughed in her face, and then she refused to film. Like, purposely, she would not show up to set on her scheduled days, so she was fired from the show. Which makes sense. Taking the number 3 spot is Terrence Howard. The actor earned the highest paycheck on the set of Iron Man. He was said to have earned $4.5 million, which was actually more than Robert Downey Jr., who played the actual hero. But when the sequel came, he was told he was going to get a pay cut because after the success of the first one, they were going to pay Robert more. Rightfully so. Karen says he was set to make $8 million for the second film, but they only offered him $1 million. He was not okay with this and even started to bash Robert and the studio publicly. And that is when he got fired and they hired Don Cheadle instead. Rolling into number 2 is Sean Connery, but many people will still refer to him as James Bond. He's been very open about his feelings about the franchise, saying that he has grown bored with it, but also exposed the financial issues that he had with it. According to Express, he signed on to You Only Live Once for $750,000 plus a 25% share of merchandising, which he was cool with. But when it came to the next Bond film, he declared that he would only return to the franchise if they paid him $1 million plus a percentage of the film's gross. They were not okay with this deal, and instead they hired George Lazenby for $50,000. So they actually saved money this way. That's how you do it, my friends. Showing everyone up at number 1 is Charlie Sheen, which is not shocking. This one is so crazy because he was actually making the most ridiculous amount of money compared to anyone on our list today, yet he still had the audacity to ask for more. He was the highest paid actor on television for his role on 2.5 Men, making approximately $2 million per episode. God forbid that was not enough money. He demanded a pay raise to $3 million an episode in order to continue the series. CBS executives thought that it was ridiculous, duh, and declined his demands. That is when he started to spiral completely out of control and started bashing Chuck Lorre, the producer. So they just fired him instead. In at number 10, Hilary Duff. Hilary Duff was on top of the Disney World for years, starring in the hit show Lizzie McGuire. But after the massive success of the 2003 Lizzie McGuire movie, she demanded more. Since the movie was such a hit, Disney asked for a second Lizzie McGuire movie to be made, but the movie stalled because of negotiations. Susan Duff, Hilary Duff's mother and manager, says she asked the promised bonus to be paid immediately, but Disney did not want to oblige. Duff also said that Hilary was getting lowballed for the Lizzie McGuire series, and they were paying Hilary $35,000 per episode, even though other networks were offering 6 figures. Because of these contract negotiations, both the TV series and plans for the movie sequel ended. And I am so disappointed because Lizzie McGuire movie is literally one of the best movies of all time, and I would die to see a second. It is so great. In at number 9, Kirstie Alley. 1982 Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan opened with a young Kirstie Alley playing the character Saavik. We eventually learned that Alley is a trainee and it was all a simulation, but those moments with Alley on screen made a deep impact on the whole movie. The character of Saavik appears twice more in the franchise, but not played by Alley. When asked why she was booted from the sequels, Alley told StarTrek.com in 2016 that it was because of money. Apparently she didn't ask for more money, instead the franchise offered her less money for a sequel, which is basically unheard of. She said, quote, "That never made sense to me, you're not paying me as much for the first one, and it's a bigger role." She claimed she tried to inquire about the lowball, but instead of answers, she was just cut. In at number 8, Crispin Glover. In 1985's Back to the Future, Crispin Glover played Marty McFly's dad, George McFly, and even though the movie was uber successful, Glover did not appear in the sequel. His absence in the second film even led to a lawsuit. The story is that Glover was unhappy with the script for the second movie and demanded the same salary as the film's lead, Michael J. Fox, who made $1 million. But in 2012, Glover says that was a lie, and he was only offered $150,000 for the sequel, sequel, which was half the amount offered to stars who had similar sized roles in the film. He also said when he tried to negotiate, the offer was actually decreased by $25,000. The film ended up casting someone else in Glover's role, but put a mold of Glover's face on this actor's face. Then Glover sued the film for using his likeness and got $760,000. And at number 7, Bruce Willis. The Expendables franchise is full of huge stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jason Statham, to name a few. Bruce Willis joined the cast in the 2010 movie, along with a 2012 sequel where he picked up a larger role. And even though he was set to star in the third film, it didn't happen, and Harrison Ford took the role instead. Later it was reported that monetary disputes were the reason for the change. The Hollywood Reporter exposed, quote, Willis was offered $3 million for 4 days of consecutive work, and he allegedly demanded a pay bump to $4 million, $1 million per day, but the studio did not oblige and Ford was cast within days. And at number 6, Marcus Chong. Marcus Chong, who played Tank in The Matrix, was one of the only members of the cast to survive. However, he didn't show up in the sequels, causing suspicion. The franchise wanted Chong to be a part, however he claims he was offered too little. In Chong's own 45-minute YouTube documentary called The Marcus Chong Story, he says he was offered $250,000 to appear in 2003's The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions, but he wanted $1 million. The film said no, so strangely enough Chong came back asking for $500,000 or to work for free. Didn't really understand that part, but apparently the franchise was done with the games and decided to just cut him instead. Halfway at number 5, Sean Connery. Sean Connery is known by many as the best James Bond, and fans were devastated when he was quickly replaced. He first played the role of 007 in 1962, then he played in 4 more movies before he decided to ask for more money from the franchise. By the time Connery starred in 1967's You Only Live Twice, for which he was paid $750,000 plus a 25% share of merchandising, he was apparently just kinda bored with the role and took a risky move by asking for more money. He demanded $1 million, but the franchise declined. As a result, George Lazenby was given the role, to the dismay of fans. After that film was hit with terrible reviews, Connery was asked back and he made $1.25 million for 1971's Diamonds Are Forever. And at number 4, Maggie Rhee. Maggie starred on The Walking Dead right from the first season and was a staple in the show, but in season 9, she disappeared from the show, leaving many to wonder why. It was later reported that money was the reason. The show did not meet her monetary demands, so she was cut from season 9 and went on to play in ABC's action dramedy Whiskey Cavalier. But apparently her time with the show was already on the rocks, and she was bored of playing the same character for 8 years. Apparently she also wanted to explore comedy and more happy projects. In the end, since she had not been killed off the show, just written off, she did come back for the 11th and final season. And at number 3, Suzanne Summers. Suzanne Summers starred in ABC's Three's Company, which was one of the most successful sitcoms ever. The show chronicled 2 women living with a man in a house in Santa Monica and followed their antics. After a few years, Summers decided to request a raise for this successful show, especially since learning her male counterpart on the show, John Ritter, was paid $150,000 per episode, while she was only making $30,000 per episode. Apparently, when she confronted the network about this, they offered her a $5,000 per episode raise, but that wasn't enough. So she didn't show up for the filming and was fired. She was then replaced on the show with a look-alike character. Apparently her firing was a part of a bigger picture, and there were other women who wanted more money from the network, so they decided to make an example out of Summers by cutting her. And at number 2, Terrence Howard. Marvel fans first saw Terrence Howard playing the role of James Rhodey Rhodes, who later became War Machine. But then in Iron Man 2, Howard was not in the film, rather Don Cheadle played Rhodey in the MCU after that. Howard did not keep his anger to himself and openly discussed why he was axed. In 2013 on Watch What Happens Live, Howard told Andy Cohen that when it was time to make Iron Man 2, Marvel only wanted to pay him 1/8 of what they owed him. Howard even reached out to Robert Downey Jr., who did not offer any support. Howard even claimed he took a $1 million pay cut to get Downey Jr. cast in his role, to which Marvel denied. In the end, Howard retracted many of his callouts and claimed him and Downey Jr. were on good terms again. And finally, number 1, Robert Duvall. Duvall first became critically acclaimed through his role as Tom Hagen in The Godfather. He even earned an Academy Award nomination for his work in the film and starred in the second movie as well. But he did not make it into part 3 of the film, apparently due to money. Speaking in 2004, Duvall explained that he not only left because he wanted more money than he was making, he was more so just disgusted at how much more some other actors were making. Saying, quote, "I said I would work easily if they paid Al Pacino twice what they paid me, that's fine. but not 3 or 4 times, which is what they did. In 2010, he explained he had no regrets about not appearing in the film because of the poor reviews that it got.
At number 10 we have Daniel Kim and Grace Park, who acted in the rebooted CBS action crime drama series Hawaii Five-0 from the start of 2010. For 7 long years the duo played their characters Chin Ho Kelly and Konu Kolokoa until they were forced off the show in 2017 because of a contract dispute. Reportedly, Daniel and Grace were both looking to receive equal pay that their co-stars Alex O'Loughlin and Scott Conn were obtaining. It was stated that CBS would not waver their final decision and set a disclosed amount of 10 to 15% lower pay grade than their castmates. Eventually, CBS went on to write Daniel and Grace out of their show in the 8th season, and in it their removal was addressed in true drama show fashion during the premiere. Funnily enough though, it's said that the drama off screen was even juicier. Despite the network issuing glowing statements in regards to their departed stars, Grace was all but thrilled when Peter Lenkoff, her former showrunner, released a tweet with indications that Grace had left the series to focus on family. Grace detailed the occurrence by explaining how the situation felt very charged to her, as well as that she did not feel it was right of Peter to make a statement on her behalf, regardless of whether or not he had good intentions. She finalized by informing Deadline that she cared about Peter as an individual, but that she did not leave the show because of what he implied. At number 9 we have Valerie Harper's self-titled sitcom where she starred alongside Jason Bateman with high spirits due to the fact that the show's ratings were increasing. Valerie was said to be headed in a promisingly strong direction for its 3rd season, and Harper decided this was as good as any time to inquire about a raise. In accordance with People, by Valerie's 3rd year, she was contracted to receive $56,750 per episode, with an additional 10% of the show's adjusted gross profits. Rather, Valerie requested there be a new contract drawn of $100,000 and 35% of added profits instead. When the studio refused to play into Valerie's demands, she pulled out an old ruse that once worked for her 12 years prior as the star of Rhoda. For this one, her request for a raise was denied. She denied showing up for work until she got what she wanted. However, her holdout tactic was not successful the following time, as Valerie's production team agreed to terms of a new contract worth $65,000 per episode with 12.5% of profits. This is what sparked Valerie's return to set, but she was let go after filming a single episode. As a result, the Valerie writers killed off her character and rebranded the show as Valerie's Family for the 3rd season. The following season, the show got a new name once more called The Hogan Family, and while the sitcom maintained its popularity without its original star, Valerie's karma came in full circle when she successfully sued production on the grounds of wrongful dismissal. At number 8 we have the crazy saga of Marcus Chong and The Matrix. His story comes after the success of The Matrix when the film creators had pitched for a double sequel. The writing/director team of the Wachowskis initially wanted to reprise Marcus with a reported offer of $250,000, but Marcus was seeking a whopping $1 million, a seemingly bizarre negotiation tactic which presumably later backfired and got him removed from the franchise. He was killed off between the first and final movies. Allegedly, after asking for $1 million, Marcus's lawyer delivered an ultimatum to the Wachowskis in a letter. In it, a matching sum of $500,000 with added bonuses and promises to receive press premiere guarantees was offered, or oppositely, Marcus would do the movies for free. Following the latter, Marcus apparently publicly added that he was being threatened and spoke on the behalf of Andy Wachowski on a call, which brought about more drama and confusion. At one point, he was reportedly taken into custody for making threats and later unsuccessfully sued the production company and distributors of The Matrix. At number 7 we have Muppet star Steve Whitmire. Despite there being several reported reasonings for the Kermit the Frog voice actor and puppeteer's axe from Disney, the big deal breaker was supposedly money. Apparently, one of the reasons given for Steve's dismissal was his refusal to work on a specific project because of an alleged contract dispute. However, Steve told The Hollywood Reporter that he was a casualty of a classified contract dispute between AFTRA and Disney Labor Relations. According to THR, Disney and the Muppet Studio, though, Steve's negotiation tactics pushed back production for many years, even going as far back as the Sesame Street days of voicing Ernie and Kermit. A source informed Gizmodo that he was let go for demanding too much money and not for focusing on the Muppets after Sesame Street. At number 6 we have former Family Matter actress Jamie Foxworth. Now, there's no hard confirmation from the cast nor crew as to why Jamie was ever dismissed, but there have been so many rumors stringed from her role's strange removal on the show, where her then character Judy exits a scene up the stairs in season 4 and never comes back down. According to FM's co-creator William Bickley, Jamie's exit came about because of budget considerations, but many allege that her mother was behind the actress's dismissal. A mysteriously reported BET article hinted that the responsibility should be placed on her mother and then manager Gwen Fox, in light of Jamie's contract not being renewed for demanding more money. The position Gwen held makes the story plausible, but regardless, Jamie's career never fully recovered from the early setback. Still, Jamie has kept a pretty lighthearted and humorous attitude about the entire ordeal. At number 5, we have Crispin Glover and why he never returned for the Back to the Future sequel. Crispin had switched out his story numerous times, but one standing point was the studio not meeting his pay demands. He explained in an AV Club interview how he was offered $150,000 to reprise his George McFly role, but this was far less than what co-stars Tom Wilson and Leah Thompson were working for. In the opinion of Crispin, the producers were trying to force him out and punished him with physically uncomfortable scenes for questioning the script. Crispin claimed he would have experienced whatever discomfort needed if he was being properly compensated. Therefore, when the actor tried his hand at negotiation, the higher-ups apparently lowered the amount even further, to an alleged $25,000 instead. Crispin chalked this up to them not wanting to work with him, yet The Hollywood Reporter featured a slightly different spin, where they spoke about Crispin not liking the ideal script, so he demanded $100 million to take the role back. According to Crispin, though, this alleged fabrication was merely a quote campaign smear tactic that he was supposedly asked to receive the same salary which Michael J. Fox was reigning in at the time. At number 4, we have crime scene investigation actors Georgia Fox and George Eads. The two stars of CSI faced intense behind-the-scenes drama while filming the show because they were both eventually removed after allegedly refusing to show up for filming. In accordance with People, both actors were dissatisfied with the results of their proposed raises of approximately $20,000 per episode. When the actors attempted to hold out for more, they got snipped out the equation. CBS's co-president Leslie Moonves made a point to state that a contract is a contract, and that the company was maintaining the future of the network television business. Although there is a happier ending for this one, as both Georgia and George were invited to take their jobs back, but their rehire came with some new ground rules. The raises initially offered were revoked, resulting in the actors' negotiation tactics costing them an approximate $1.76 billion. Big yikes. Even worse, George once claimed he wasn't even being petty and that he merely overslept when he didn't show up to work, rather than the hinted monetary gain story that was originally created. At number 3, we have iconic Disney star Hilary Duff, who was a staple for all early 2000s preteens with her crimped hair and then sweet style. The reason why Hilary and Paulo's Lizzie McGuire 2 manifestation didn't play out in real life was because of reported money disputes. Without Hilary, there would surely be no Lizzie, and apparently Hilary wanted more than what she was making then. According to Entertainment Weekly, the LM franchise closed off when Susan Duff, Hilary's then momager, refused Disney's deal for a sequel. Reportedly, Hilary was offered $500,000 in bonus for the second film if the first film surpassed $50 million. This was said to be a huge increase from the $100,000 bonus Disney originally offered the pair, along with part of a $4 million offer for its sequel, quote, against 4% of the studio's gross for the film. In full, Hilary's Lizzie payday exceeded this, but her mother expected the bonus to come immediately as opposed to waiting. In retaliation, Disney withdrew their deal completely while effectively axing the Lizzie McGuire franchise. In light of the incident, Susan said to Entertainment Weekly how Disney tried to, quote, bully them into what they wanted and was unsuccessful. So in turn, she and her daughter turned away from a sequel while the company ditched an entire series. At number 2, we have Walking Dead Maggie's actress Lauren Cohan. Lauren's character was surely a staple in the WD franchise for nearly a decade, but in 2018 AMC had to complicatedly decide to give in to the actress' then contract demands or remove her from her role. In her Entertainment Weekly interview, Lauren admitted that she was taken aback by her negotiation, which indicated that maybe it was time to leave. She recalls being baffled and feeling like it was just not a fit anymore, due to her and AMC not lining up in so many ways. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Lauren was already actively seeking new jobs around this time and was receiving multiple. As a result, she was no longer a part of the Walking Dead series, but the final decision to let her go was unusually a huge departure from that of the comic book series on which the show bases itself, though not entirely unlikely. However, Lauren could potentially see the return of her character Maggie in the future, despite her character being offed, as her ending was technically left up in the air. At At number 1, we have Iron Man actor Terrence Howard, whose leave is somewhat of a sticky situation. It's difficult to say for certain if he was fired or pushed out, but no doubt his demise in the Iron Man franchise had the same end result. While Terrence starred in the first Iron Man film and was reportedly making more than leading actor Robert Downey Jr., he was excluded from the second, and apparently there are several reasons. The main one stemmed from an alleged battle over pay. Despite him being the big bill topper in the first film, Robert Downey soon copped the title of the world's highest paid actors for Forbes for 3 consecutive years, and moved into Terrence's money spot by the time of the second film. Terrence's top spot of $3.5 million in pay supposedly stemmed from the combination of risk associated with the Robert Downey bets at the time, as well as his Oscar nomination for Hustle and Flow. In Terrence's explanation, the reason behind Robert's earning so much in the subsequent Iron Man films is alleged because the studio was borrowing from Terrence to pay Robert, and he further claimed that he was set to accumulate $8 million for the second movie. Instead, Marvel Studios supposedly reworked their offered contract and reduced it to $1 million, with plans of using the remaining dough to pay Robert. Finally, once Terrence pushed back, Marvel rumoredly closed their deal entirely and hired Don Cheadle in place of Terrence.
And at number 10, Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson went through the traumatic experience of losing her mother, brother, and nephew on the same night of October 24th of 2008. Unfortunately, her family was targeted and killed by an assailant. After the incident, she went into hiding to protect herself from the world. She wasn't able to open up about her time away until nearly 2 years after. When she was featured on VH1's Behind the Music, she spoke about that time, saying, quote, "For almost 2 weeks straight, I was inside one room with just family and friends, coming in and out because of course the press was everywhere." She says at the time she relied heavily on her family and faith, and she did not want to speak to anyone. During this time, she was offered a role in a major movie, but decided to turn it down so she could focus on getting better. When she was finally ready to get back into the spotlight, she performed the Star-Spangled Banner to open the 2009 Super Bowl. And at number 9, Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle had one of the most successful comedy careers of all time, until he suddenly disappeared from his comedy show and wasn't seen in public for years after. In 2005, he was riding a wave of fame fueled by his hugely successful television show, but instead of continuing with Chappelle's show, Dave turned down $50 million and essentially went into hiding. It was later revealed that he went to South Africa, but he didn't talk about why. According to the LA Times, he'd cut off communication with friends, family, and professional contacts too. A few years later, he started doing comedy again and made some appearances at low-key comedy clubs. When talking with David Letterman in 2014, he said he was burnt out and needed a reset, and to spend more time with his family. Chappelle said, quote, "It's just you do what you feel like you need to do. There are other things in life that I do not purchase with money that are very valuable." And at number 8, Richard Simmons. In December of 2014, TMZ reported that Richard Simmons hadn't been seen by his friends in nearly a year. This is obviously very shocking, and led many to ask where he was, from being in danger or just going off the grid. All this led to the public demanding the LAPD do a welfare check at him on his home, which they did in 2015, and he was found in his house completely fine. But that didn't stop speculation. The National Enquirer even ran one story claiming he was transitioning into a woman. This prompted him to retaliate with a lawsuit. When the story got too big to ignore, Simmons told the Today Show, quote, "No one is holding me in my house as a hostage. I just sort of wanted to be a little bit of a loner for a little while." By March of 2017, it had been 3 years and he was still not seen out. The speculation surrounding him got so big, a podcast was even started to chronicle his disappearance. He is now back and even starting new projects. In at number 7, Susan Boyle. Susan Boyle became an instant sensation after she competed on Britain's Got Talent in 2009. Before the show, she was a volunteer church worker with an amazing voice, but after she was a household name. In the middle of the show, she started to get bombarded by fans in public, with some even coming to her home and knocking at her door. It got so bad she was forced to move to an undisclosed location to wait out the end of the show, and so she could practice for her final performances in peace. Her brother John told People, quote, "She has had people banging on her door. It's been really terrible for her." Judge for the show Piers Morgan told BBC it was so bad at one point, Boyle was considering leaving the show altogether. saying, quote, "She is very distraught to the extent where she packed her bags and was going to leave the show." In the end, Boyle did not win the show, but it was the start of her massive solo career. In at number 6, Michael Jackson. At one point, the King of Pop was the most famous person in the world, and his loyal fans and paparazzi were obsessed with him to the point they would stalk him in public and show up to his private home. Near the end of his life, one of his close friends exposed that Michael was so done with the fame, he wanted to go into hiding. That friend, named Donny Osmond, met Michael as child stars, and they connected on their similar upbringings. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Jackson called Osmond about 18 months before he died. Jackson told him that he had rented a motorhome with his kids and he was hiding out from paparazzi in the desert. Jackson apparently said, quote, "I just want to hide. I want to get away from people." Osmond said that after that, Michael isolated himself from the world completely. Halfway number 5, J.D. Salinger. J.D. Salinger's classic book, The Catcher in the Rye, is one that I'm sure all of you have most likely read. I think I did either in high school or middle school. Since this book and the author are so famous, it's crazy to learn that he was a recluse most of his life. Even more shocking, the author passed away in 2010 at the age of 91 years old. In 2013, a book was released on the author's life, revealing just how reclusive and private that he was. It was suggested that he suffered from PTSD from his time serving in World War II. Allegedly, the author carried 6 chapters of his famous novel with him when he landed on the beach on D-Day. Shortly after fighting, he checked himself into an institution to help him cope with all he had experienced and seen during the war. Even more insane, after he left this institution, he signed up for more fighting, volunteering to defeat the Germans. One of the authors of this book claimed that the effects of the war made Salinger turn to a life of isolation. Apparently, Salinger's book was rejected by one publisher because they found him to be too unstable. In at number 4, Joe Strummer. Joe Strummer is the frontman for the band Clash, and years before his 2002 death, he became somewhat of a recluse. Back in 1982, the band started to struggle, so the band's manager Bernie Rhodes came up with an idea for Strummer to disappear from the public for a bit just to drum up publicity. The plan was for him to lay low in Texas, but before he was set to leave, he disappeared for real, telling nobody where he was going. For 3 weeks, not only did the public not know where he was, but his friends, family, and manager didn't know either. Weeks later, he was found living on the streets of Paris. While there, he ran the Paris Marathon and drank 10 pints of beer a night. Later, he revealed the whole thing was a mistake. This hardly helped with publicity for the band, and they broke up shortly after. And at number 3, Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie is an interesting figure, being well known in the world of mystery and crime. She's also a best-selling author and wrote the world's longest-running play, The Mousetrap. For some reason, in the middle of her very successful career, she disappeared without a trace. On one random night, she left her 7-year-old daughter and drove off. The car was found abandoned a few miles away, but there was no sign of Agatha. Thousands of people came to look for her in that area, and nothing was found. Many in the town started speculating on where she could be. Could she be in danger, or could this all be some sort of stunt? 11 days later, she was found at a spa, checked in under the name Teresa Neal, who was her husband's mistress at the time. She went back home with her husband and never spoke about it again. And at number 2, Melania Trump. The president and the first lady are public figures, so they're expected to be out at public events to represent the country when asked. Many Americans were shocked when the first lady was out of public for a whopping 25 days, which is basically an eternity in politics. After speculation, the White House announced that she was recovering from a kidney procedure, but a lot of the public did not buy this. Some even speculated that she left the president and his administration was trying to hide it. Hashtag Where's Melania Trump even started trending on Twitter with claims that there were body doubles posing as Melania. Political analysts went on TV and explained the absence was unprecedented. She finally returned to her First Lady duties on June 4th of 2018. When asked for more details on her disappearance, her team denied this, quote, citing the privacy laws to which Ms. Trump, like any other patient, is entitled. And finally, at number 1, Rivers Cuomo. Rivers Cuomo, the frontman for Weezer, is also quite the recluse. True to his hipster ways, he likes living off the grid in nature where nobody can find him. In a 2005 Rolling Stone profile, Cuomo said it all started with a Tibetan Buddhist meditation retreat. He loved the alone time. After this, he tested just how long he could go in isolation. One time he even spent 20 days in a closet in northern Massachusetts. But obviously this level of isolation can be unhealthy, which he proved after he trapped himself in his LA apartment after a failed record. When the album Pinkerton did not live up to expectations, he, quote, put fiberglass insulation over the windows and hung black sheets over the insulation, and painted all the walls black, disconnected his phone, and spent a lot of time with his pet gecko. Thankfully, he grew out of these ways and is now married with kids,
but he's still openly searching for meaning in life other than just working and touring.
Starting off this countdown, we have Jerry Seinfeld. Have you seen that awkward encounter with Jerry Seinfeld and Kesha? My stomach literally hurts just watching it. Anyways, what happened was during a red carpet event, Kesha asked for a hug and he completely rejected her in the most awkward and cringy way. Apparently he has a strict no hugging rule, which I mean, that's fair, okay? I bet he would get swarmed with fans walking down the street all asking for hugs. Not only that though, but apparently he has a bit of an ego problem. He isn't just rude to fans, but also interviewers and other celebrities and talk show hosts. Seth Meyers and Larry King both said that Jerry was very rude to them while on their shows. In our 9th spot today, we have Lindsay Lohan. Again, her last name is pronounced Lohan, okay? Everyone's been saying Lohan for years, but it was recently revealed that we're wrong. It's Lohan, not Lohan. Anyways, the downfall of Lindsay is actually a really sad one. Everyone loves Mean Girls and Freaky Friday, okay? She was in some iconic movies. Sadly, she went on to have problems with the law and substance abuse. In 2007, she was arrested and convicted twice. That same year, she went to rehab. From 2007 to 2012, she spent 250 days in different rehab centers. When she did get clean, she did star in a couple of shows, guest starring, but apparently she was very difficult to work with. She would arrive late and didn't want to film her parts. Sometimes she didn't even want to get out of her trailer. In our 8th spot today, we have Amanda Bynes. Sadly, this is another amazingly talented actor that let drugs and alcohol get to them. In 2012 to 2013, Bynes was in multiple car accidents. She was charged with a DUI and was caught smoking. Over the years, she has been arrested for drug possession. She is currently under conservatorship, which means that her mother is her legal guardian. Now, she has changed a lot, okay? She goes on a number of rants on her social media, and she even drastically changed her appearance. Amanda is going through a rough patch and is sadly also suffering from mental health issues. I just wish her all the best because honestly, I loved her when I was a kid, and I'd love for her to get back into acting, but her health is the #1 priority right now. In our 7th spot today, we have Lea Michele. Oh man, Lea has literally been labeled as one of the biggest drama queens and divas in Hollywood. There's so much tea on her that I don't have time to talk about it all. But we have done numerous other videos on her, so you can check that out. Anyways, a number of her Glee co-stars have said that it's a nightmare to work on set with her. Others claim that Lea would bully and belittle them on set and made life a living hell. Also, a number of cast members of color have come forward saying that they felt that Lea's hate towards them was racially motivated. And she's also been known to start unnecessary drama on set. Also, she once called background actors cockroaches and even burped directly in the face of a stand-in. So, how professional. Moving on to number 6, we have Mike Myers. Mike Myers has played a number of characters in iconic movies like Hello, Austin Powers, Shrek. Anyways, apparently he's a control freak and a perfectionist, which makes it hard for the cast and crew on set. Not only that, but according to his co-stars from Cat in the Hat, wow, throwback, he kept everyone waiting and even had someone feed him chocolates on set. Another time, while on Conan O'Brien, he had staff running around trying to complete his demands. He wanted silk non-dairy creamer, Twizzlers, and raspberry seltzers. When the interns didn't get him the right brands that he liked, he made them go back and try again. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Justin Bieber. Now it seems like Bieber is in a better place, but for quite some time he was acting like a big brat, according to a number of celebrities. As Justin started to get older, he started getting into a number of fights. He got arrested multiple times and he was involved with a number of drug scandals. He also would show up late to concerts and events. In fact, John Bovey called him out, telling him to get his act together. He's also pissed off a number of celebrities, including Seth Rogen and Bill Hader, okay? How do you piss off those celebrities? They're so chill. Anyways, according to Bill Hader, when Justin hosted SNL, he showed up with a 20-person team to set. He said, and I quote, he had a guy holding a piece of pizza, a guy holding a Diet Coke, and going around stage you're trying to fight through all these people to get dressed. Doesn't sound like a pleasant experience. Moving on to number 4 today, we have Charlie Sheen. The 2.5 Men star has done some pretty wild and highly controversial things over the years that have completely ruined his reputation. Like when he he pulled a knife out on his dentist while undergoing treatment. Also, he's had a number of drug scandals, and then you have the scandal between him and his ex-wife, Denise Richards. Apparently, he was violent and physical with her on a number of occasions. There's also a rumor that he slept with over 5,000 different women. In fact, he was fired from 2.5 Men because of his wild behavior. Since then, he hasn't really done much acting. Coming in at number 3 today, we have Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres was labeled as one of the most kind-hearted and generous celebrities out there. She constantly gave back to charity and helped people in need. But a couple of years ago, it was revealed that she might not be the nicest. I'm sure you all remember that huge scandal. People were calling her and her team rude. It started with one of her former employees tweeting, and I quote, "Right now, we all need a little kindness. You know, like Ellen DeGeneres always talks about. She's also notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Respond to this with the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen being mean, and I'll match everyone with $2 to the LA Food Bank." Now, this tweet had thousands of replies with unpleasant stories about Ellen. Even some celebrities piped up to share their stories. In the end, it kind of tarnished her reputation. In our second spot today, we have Naomi Campbell. Model Naomi Campbell has been labeled as a very difficult model to work with. In fact, she even has had beef with Tyra Banks and Rihanna. Apparently, she's very unreliable. When she books a job, people never know if she's gonna show up. So why bother even booking her in the first place if she's not gonna do her work? And then in 2007, there was this whole scandal in which she allegedly hit her maid in the head with a cell phone, and she was charged with assault. Yikes. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Katherine Heigl. When people think of worst celebrities, Katherine is always up there on the list. Apparently, she's one of the most hated actors in Hollywood, and people refuse to cast her now. It all started with Grey's Anatomy. Apparently on set, she would complain about her wardrobe, and on some days, she would refuse to get out of her trailer to film. And apparently, she would question the script every single day on set. Then in 2008, she said that she didn't want her Emmy nomination for her role in Grey's Anatomy because she felt that the writing on the show was bad. Imagine that. Being like, nah, I actually don't want to be nominated for an Emmy. You know, the show is actually bad. Like, it sucks. Why would you do that?
Coming in at 10, Will Smith, $35 million. Will Smith is an actor and rapper, and in April 2007, Newsweek called him the most powerful actor in Hollywood, which I think is an overstatement. I've never really been a Will Smith fan, but that's just my opinion. He has been nominated for 5 Golden Globe Awards and 2 Academy Awards, and has also taken home 4 Grammys. In the late 80s, he achieved success as a rapper under the name The Fresh Prince, and in 1990, popularity increased dramatically when he starred in the NBC series The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which ran for 6 seasons from 1990 to 1996, before he transitioned into movies. Some of those movies include Hancock, 7 Pounds, Men in Black, Independence Day, and Bright. However, thanks to his work in 2019, which consisted of Aladdin, Gemini Man, and Spies in Disguise, he raked in a whopping $35 million. In at number 9, Paul Rudd, $41 million. Paul Rudd is an actor, comedian, screenwriter, and producer with films under his belt such as Clueless, Romeo and Juliet, Wet Hot American Summer, Anchorman, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, and This Is 40. He was already a hugely accomplished and popular actor before he landed the role of Scott Lang / Ant-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, appearing in Ant-Man, Captain America Civil War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Endgame. In addition to his film career, he has also appeared in a slew of television shows including Friends, Parks and Recreation, and Living with Yourself. However, 2019 was his biggest year yet, with the actor appearing in Endgame, Between Two Ferns the movie, Living with Yourself, Avengers the video game, and even hosted SNL in the process. Thanks to all of this, he managed to rake in around $41 million. Coming in at 8, Chris Evans, $43.5 million. Chris Evans is an actor who first gained attention in 2005 as the Marvel Comics character Human Torch in Fantastic Four and its 2007 sequel. However, he shot to superstardom when he portrayed Steve Rogers / Captain America in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, appearing in 11 movies including 4 cameos. Outside of the MCU, he also appeared in works such as Not Another Teen Movie, Sunshine, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Gifted, and Knives Out. In 2014, he also made made his directorial debut with the drama film Before We Go, in which he also starred. In 2019, he appeared in a slew of movies which helped him rake in an obscene amount of money, including Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, Superpower Dogs, The Red Sea Diving Resort, and Knives Out, with the actor making a total of $43.5 million in the process. Coming in at 7, Adam Sandler, $57 million. Adam Sandler is an actor, comedian, screenwriter, film producer, and musician. After becoming a Saturday Night Live cast member, he went on to star in many Hollywood feature films that have grossed over $2 billion at the box office combined. His works include films such as Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, The Wedding Singer, 50 First Dates, Click, Grown Ups, and Just Go With It. However, 2019 was huge for Sandler, who appeared in Uncut Gems, Murder Mystery, and hosted Saturday Night Live. Uncut Gems was of course a critical success, with it being Sandler's greatest performance to date, with some even pushing for an Oscar nomination. Sadly, he didn't get one though. Thanks to his hard work, he managed to rake in around $57 million in 2019. Coming in at 6, Bradley Cooper, $57 million. Bradley Cooper is an actor and filmmaker who has been nominated for a slew of awards, including 8 Academy Awards and a Tony Award, and has won a Grammy Award and a BAFTA in the process. It is no surprise that he has made it on this list, considering he's been working since the early 2000s and is of course a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Over the course of his career, he has appeared in movies such as A Star Is Born, Limitless, The Hangover, The Place Beyond the Pines, and of course Guardians of the Galaxy, as well as countless Marvel movies. In 2019, he appeared in just one movie, and that was Avengers Endgame, but still, he managed to rake in around $57 million. Coming in at 5, Jackie Chan, $58 million. Jackie Chan is a Hong Kong martial artist, actor, film director, producer, stuntman, and singer. He is known in the cinematic world for his acrobatic fighting style, comedic timing, use of improvised weapons, and innovative stunts, which he typically performs himself. He has been in the industry since the 1960s, appearing in over 150 films in the process, which is absolutely insane. Now, unbeknownst to me, the actor is still going strong and appearing in a handful of movies each and every year, sometimes even up to 6 per year. In 2019, he was still raking in the cash, appearing in The Night of Shadows, Between Yin and Yang, V2 Journey to China, and The Climbers, with the actor making around $58 million, making him one of the highest paid actors of the entire year. Coming in at number 4, Akshay Kumar, $65 million. Akshay Kumar is an Indian-born Canadian actor, producer, martial artist, and television personality who works in Bollywood films. In a career spanning over 29 years, Kumar has appeared in over 100 movies and has won a slew of awards, including the National Film Award for Best Actor for his performance in Rustom, and 2 Filmfare Awards in 2001 and 2005. It's hard to sum up the life of this actor, who seemingly appears in around 5 to 6 movies each and every year, which is absolutely insane. However, his biggest year came in 2019 when he starred in Kasari, Blank Mission Mangal, Houseful 4, and Good News, with the actor raking in $65 million for all of his hard work. Coming in at 3, Robert Downey Jr., $66 million. Robert Downey Jr. is an actor, producer, and singer with a career that has been characterized by critical and popular success in his youth, followed by a period of substance abuse and legal troubles before re-emerging in middle age. His resurgence began back in 2008 when he landed the coveted role of Tony Stark in Iron Man, instantly propelling him to superstardom. He then went on to star in movies such as Tropic Thunder, Sherlock Holmes, Due Date, and Chef. However, 2019 was one of his biggest years financially, even though he appeared in just one movie, Avengers Endgame. The star managed to rake in a whopping $66 million. The perks of being in the MCU, I guess. All you have to do is one film. You can retire. Coming in at 2, Chris Hemsworth, $76.4 million. Chris Hemsworth is an Australian actor who rose to prominence playing Kim Hyde in the Australian TV series Home and Away before beginning a film career in Hollywood, starring in works such as Star Trek and A Perfect Getaway. However, the star blew up when he landed the coveted role of Thor in Thor and went on to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He has since appeared in works such as The Cabin in the Woods, Snow White and the Huntsman, Rush, Ghostbusters, and Black Hat. However, his biggest and best year was arguably 2019 when he appeared in Endgame, Men in Black, and Jay and Silent Bob the Reboot, in turn allowing the actor to earn a hefty paycheck of $76.4 million. And finally, coming in at number 1, Dwayne Johnson, $89.4 million. Dwayne Johnson, also known by his ring name The Rock, is an actor, producer, investor, and retired professional wrestler. However, since 2000, he's primarily been working as an actor, starring in a slew of movies such as The Mummy Returns, The Scorpion King, Be Cool, Race to Witch Mountain, and more. However, it's been in the last 10 years that the actor has really made a name for himself in Hollywood. In 2010, he joined the Fast and Furious crew, appearing in arguably the best Fast and Furious movie, Fast 5, before going on to star in works such as Pain and Gain, San Andreas, Moana, Jumanji, and even Shazam. The actor is currently raking in the money with him exclusively starring in big box office hits, and in 2019, thanks to movies such as Hobbs & Shaw, Jumanji, The Next Level, and Fighting With My Family, the actor managed to rake in around $90 million, which is insane and kind of upsetting.
Starting off our list in the number 10 spot is The Weeknd. The singer turned 29 years old just a few months ago on February 16, 2019. He is a Canadian singer, songwriter, and record producer who began his career in 2010 by putting out his music on YouTube. He's been in the industry for less than a decade and has gained an enormous following, and is now one of the most popular mainstream artists in the world. He's dated other celebrities like Selena Gomez and now Bella Hadid again, and has also had the opportunity to collaborate with some of the most famous musicians out there. He's got a pretty solid career. As of 2019, his net worth is around $57 million. When speaking about his success during an interview, he said, "It's always been in me, I just had to be confident enough to let it out." Boy, was it a good thing that he did. And at number 9 is Selena Gomez. Hey, look at that, it is his ex-girlfriend taking the spot above him. The 26-year-old superstar started her career on the Disney Channel, taking the lead in the hit TV series Wizards of Waverly Place. It was after this show that she started to gain a lot of recognition and then joined the band Selena Gomez and the Scene. Over the years, she starred in different movies and began her career as a solo artist, which definitely did her no harm. In 2017, Billboard reported that Selena had sold over 7 million albums and 22 million singles worldwide. She has taken some time off from music for self-care, going through different rehabilitation programs, and also undergoing a big kidney transplant surgery. She is currently making a comeback though, and is still one of the most popular artists in the world, taking the second place of most Instagram followers in the world at 154 million. As of the most recent report in 2009, her net worth is approximately $60 million, so not too much more than her ex-boyfriend, but still more. Next up at number 8 is Harry Styles. You guys remember the boy band One Direction, right? Harry was the curly-headed kid, who most would say was the lead of the group. He's an English singer who started his music career in the band, which released 5 studio albums and won a ton of awards. But they ended up splitting up, and he released his own debut single back in 2017 called Sign of the Times. He signed a record deal with Columbia Records as a solo artist and now has a net worth of $75 million. The now 25-year-old was asked about his fame, and he says, I quote, "You're never going to get used to walking into a room and have people screaming at you." His other former band members aren't far behind him on the list. Actually, the entire band could technically make up half this list as individuals, but I'm not going to do that to you guys, or do that to myself. Out of all the band members as of 2019, he is making the most money. Taking over the number 7 spot is Emma Watson. She is an English actress originally born in Paris and took the world by storm for her performance as Hermione in the Harry Potter series. She took on her role throughout the years 2001 all the way to 2011, earning her a whopping $60 million. Not a bad gig. After that, she continued to take on big roles in multiple movies, and one of them earned her $17 million. Can you guess which one? Yep, it was for her incredible performance as Belle in the live-action Beauty and the Beast back in 2017. When she's not acting, she's the UN Women Goodwill Ambassador and also makes money from modeling and endorsement deals with beauty brands like Chanel and Burberry. Oh, what a life. The actress is now 29 years old. She's no longer that frizzy-head Hermione that we once knew her as. She is all grown up, and her bank account has grown with her. As of this year, 2019, her net worth is approximately $80 million. And at number 6 is Ariana Grande. The pop star was not lying when she sang, "I want it, I got it." The 26-year-old bragged about all the money she has in her single called 7 Rings, with the lyrics saying, "Whoever said money can't solve your problems must not have had enough money to solve them." Well, way to rub it in, Ari. The girl is bringing in some mad dough from her tours. According to Billboard, her tour in 2017, the Dangerous Woman tour, brought in $71 million, partly coming from the merch that she was selling at the time. She is currently on her Sweetener World Tour, so we can only imagine what kind of money that one will bring in. Not only does she have her music, but she's also made more than $150 million over the span of 2 years for her fragrances. She's created some beauty products too, like teaming up with MAC for a lip gloss. The girl isn't messing around when it comes to earning that money. According to the Celebrity Net Worth, Ariana's net worth is sitting around $100 million. It's hard to calculate with her tour going on currently, but she was earning anywhere between 80 to 100 million before it even started. So, guess we will have to wait for a future update. On a side note, she has surpassed Selena Gomez on Instagram and now has the most followers in the world at 161 million and counting as of today. I went and looked at her Instagram, so these are facts. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Ed Sheeran. I totally underestimated what this guy was worth. No offense. The 28-year-old is an English singer and songwriter who started out by busking on the streets of London and performing at small gigs in his hometown. But now he's selling out arenas around the world, landing him within the top 100 richest singers in the world. As of 2019, his net worth is estimated to be at 110 million. I honestly didn't believe it at first that he was making more than Ariana Grande. But why he's worth so much isn't just because of his tours, he's also a songwriter, which many people forget. He writes songs for huge artists, and I bet you didn't even know they were written by him, because I didn't. Some examples that he wrote are Strip That Down for Liam Payne, Cold Water for Justin Bieber and Major Lazer, Tattoo for Hilary Duff, Your Song for Rita Ora, and the list just goes on and on and on. He is incredibly talented when it comes to his own music, but he spreads the love by sharing his talent with other people in the industry. Well, he's not really sharing, he's actually making some really good cash from it. Here we are at number 4 with Miley Cyrus, my queen. We first got to know Miley through her role as Hannah Montana on the Disney Channel. You know, the girl who lives a very unrealistic double life as a famous singer and an average schoolgirl who only throws on a different wig and somehow no one notices. Totally unrealistic, but I'm still totally obsessed with it and I still watch it. She started to break away from her role as Hannah and began releasing her own music away from the Disney Channel. She also started pursuing acting in films like Bolt, The Last Song, LOL, and So Undercover. Not including her albums as Hannah Montana, she has released 7 studio albums which have all been a total success. No surprise there. Another big moment in her career was when she joined the judge panel on the reality singing show The Voice. The 26-year-old has been the youngest person to land a judging role on that show. Pretty sweet. And more recently, you could watch her taking on the lead role as Ashley O in an episode of Netflix hit TV series Black Mirror. The episode completely blew up, as well as the soundtrack, which is sung by her character. Miley's net worth was actually higher back in 2017, around 200 million, but as of this year, 2019, her net worth is estimated at 160 million. Alright guys, we are at number 3 with Justin Bieber, the Biebs. He is a Canadian singer who achieved success at a very young age. As a kid, he started singing on the streets of his hometown Stratford, Ontario, and began posting cover videos of himself on YouTube. It was there that he was discovered by a talent manager, Scooter Braun. Justin flew out to Atlanta, Georgia to work with him and recorded some demo tapes. Only a week later, he was discovered by Usher and quickly signed a record deal. He was the first artist to have 7 songs from a debut record chart on the Billboard Hot 100 list. His debut album was also certified triple platinum in the US. From there, his career took off and he is one of the biggest pop stars in the world. He is living a more quiet and private life right now after moving to Canada and living with his new wife Hailey Baldwin, but that does not mean he still isn't making that money. A 2019 update has his net worth as $265 million. Not bad for being 25 years old. In spot number 2 is Taylor Swift. At just 15 years old, she was the youngest songwriter to ever sign with Sony. She now has 10 Grammys on her shelf and several successful tours under her belt. Not to mention an endless list of songs and albums that made it in the first place on the top charts. Now at 29 years old, she has the title of one of the world's highest paid celebrities and also one of the richest female singers. According to Forbes, as of 2019, she has an estimated net worth of $360 million. But that does not include what she made from her 2019 Reputation tour, which was the highest grossing tour in US history. It grossed $266.1 million and sold more than 2 million tickets. So she is actually worth over $360 million, they just can't estimate all of that yet. She is known for being incredibly generous though with her money and has donated millions of dollars into different charities and causes. Not only does her money come from her music, but like most celebrities, it also comes from her merch and endorsements like other high profile brands. Taking our number 1 spot is Kylie Jenner. She literally trumps everyone on this list probably combined. The 21-year-old marked a milestone moment earlier this year when she earned the title of the youngest self-made billionaire ever. Many people have always wondered what exactly she's famous for. She wasn't known for anything other than being the younger sister on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but then she started her own makeup line called Kylie Cosmetics. Her brand completely blew up and last year earned an estimated $360 $160 million. Her growth percentage since then has increased significantly, and she also added in a Kylie skin line. Forbes calculated that her company fortune is $1 billion, and she owns 100% of it. Her empire consists of just 7 full-time and 5 part-time employees. The rest of the work is done by her. Her mother, who is also her manager, Kris Jenner, takes 10% for a management fee, but everything else is in Kylie's pocket.
And number 3, Tracy Morgan. Tracy Morgan hasn't seen his mom for 21 years. For years, Tracy's mom and sister have been bad-mouthing him to the media for refusing to help save his mother's home from foreclosure. Tracy became extremely saddened by the untrue stories, and he began to grow tired of people questioning his commitment to his family. In an interview with ABC News, Tracy went on to state that the reasons they aren't talking are between them, and that he hasn't seen his mother in 11 years outside of a random call here and there, and he's had little to no contact with his sister. Tracy was also helping his mother pay for the mortgage after she lost her job. However, after his mom and sister started talking to the media, Tracy would ultimately change his mind. And number 2, we have Frances Bean Cobain. Now, Frances Bean Cobain didn't officially cut off her mother, however, she did have a restraining order in place. Since Frances was a minor at the time, the allegations would remain sealed. However, that didn't stop tabloids from running story about what truly happened. The Daily Mail would claim that Frances took exception to Courtney Love's alleged substance use, and that they even cited some of Frances' testimony. Frances would say that her mom rarely ate, and she would often fall asleep with lit cigarettes in her mouth, and how she was afraid something bad would happen under the care of her mother. It was also then claimed that Courtney's actions led to the passing of 2 family pets, and this would leave her daughter to file for the restraining order so that her grandmother and aunt could be temporary guardians so she could get away. And at number 1 today, we have Liv Tyler. Liv Tyler didn't even know Steven Tyler was her father until she was 11 years old. Until that point, she believed that Todd Rundgren was her biological father. While Todd always knew there was a chance he wasn't Liv's father, he signed the birth certificate and gave her his last name and stepped in to raise her as his own. When Liv met Steven when she was 8 years old at one of Todd's concerts, she fell madly in love with him and would even go on to buy posters and talk to them. While Todd knew her father's true identity, he decided to keep it a secret due to Steven's reported substance use. In 2009, Liv would say that in the past few years, we haven't been very close. He's also been going through some things on his own, and he hasn't been around that much for us. So that's been hard, but I probably shouldn't be talking about this. I wish he was around more to know Milo more, but he has to go through what he goes through.